Okay, looks like we have connected now. Hi, Princess. Hi, Ash. Hi, Hitvi. How are you guys doing? Okay, Bisma, you will have to send me the request or I can do it for you. Yes, Ashrita, we miss you too. Okay. Hi, Sohani. So sorry, I still have to get your work done.
And trust me, I'm going to do it by tomorrow. Today is the last live session, so I'll get it done tomorrow. Hi, Bisma. So we got
Hi.
connected finally.
Yes,
I'm just
finally.
waiting for, the followers to join. Hi,
Sure.
Ruchi. How are you? So we'll just wait for a moment.
Yeah, sure.
Our Yes, Suhani, from tomorrow we get back to on track for your work. It's been super delayed from my end, for sure. Hi, Ashrita's dad. How are you doing? How is Ashrita doing? I hope she's being busy, not engaged on, too much on screen time and all. So how are you, Bisma? Started
I
with
am good,
Ramadan.
Harish.
How are you coping
Yes.
up? Different
So we are
experience, no?
fasting. I'm fasting right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But in a way, it's good, right? You don't have to go out in this summer, at least.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to take therapy and talk endlessly.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
in
correct.
a way, it's good.
Yeah, correct. Is it today is the second day or third day?
Second day.
Second day. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So we will get started slowly. I can see we have, okay, getting fat. Ashrita says she's getting fat. Whole day sitting at home. Vishma, do you remember Ash by any chance? Ashrita? Or maybe she resumed
Ashrita,
after you left, I think. Maybe
possibly.
something
I
like
don't.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So good evening, guys. I hope you all are doing safe. This is Dr. Harish, and as we all know, we started with this live series, and today is the last session of our live series. And we have Bisma Sheikh, who is with us, who is a very senior speech and language pathologist, and we would be discussing about strategies to boost speech and language milestones. So, Bisma, thank you so much. It was decided few days back, and
Yeah.
and hopefully we managed to cover up very important questions. Very very important questions when it comes to children and their delay, and even correlate with special need children. So,
True.
thanks a lot. And considering it's your fasting month, you could make it possible. And I have some questions for you, Bisma. So we will go through that. And if there are
Sure.
any questions which pop up online, we can address it at the end or in the middle of the session. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Harish. It's nice meeting you again. It's like, friendly chat in our center. Seems like that.
A different meet altogether.
Yeah,
Okay, great. So let's get started, Bisma. So the first question is, I'll read out the questions for you. Okay.
sure.
So the first question is, what is the difference between speech and language milestones? Okay. How closely are they associated? And how does one component, if affected, can impact the other areas of development? It's a big
Okay.
question.
Yeah. So basically, speech and language are two completely different things. People use them interchangeably, but when it
Correct.
comes to speech, speech is more about the sounds of a
Okay.
particular language, how you articulate those sounds, your rate of speech, your intonation, your melody. So that is what constitutes of speech, like how fluently you are speaking. When it comes to language, language is more of what are the words in a language, what is the vocabulary, how are you using these words to form sentences, how are you
Right.
using it during questions, or are you able to form tenses properly. So these are the things that constitutes language. So both the components are different, both the components are tested in a different way. Now when
Okay.
speech is affected, obviously your language will be affected in terms of clarity, like the clarity of the spoken sounds is not going to be clear, or when you are articulating the sounds, for example, children make the most common errors in articulation, like instead of cut they'll say tat, or instead
Correct.
of goat they'll say dot. So obviously the
Right.
meaning then gets affected, the language then gets affected. Okay, so that is how they both are related to each other. And the third part of your question was what?
Okay, so the third part was how can, one component affect the other component or the other areas of development?
The other areas of development. So basically, when a child is having a problem in speech in terms of their articulation errors, so these articulation errors can later on be present even in school in terms of they will reflect in their reading writing skills. That what errors the
Okay.
children are making while speaking, the same errors they'll make while reading or writing as well. Okay, which
Right.
in turn affects their understanding of the language. So your
Right.
speech is affecting the language as well.
Right. 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 So, so just to continue this question, like what are the common mistakes parents end up doing or, other professionals end up doing? Because we come across so many instances where they say, बच्चा late बात करेगा और उसको समझ में आता है, very, very at times like it can overlap, and we
True.
consider अच्छा चलो normal है. So how does these two terms can, mimic or I won't say mimic, but they are so closely associated that we can end up, ignoring that fact that the child actually has a
Or
problem.
making mistakes. So,
Correct, correct,
when children are learning sounds, they are learning sounds in a hierarchy, right? With the
right,
bilabal sounds coming first, then the velars and so on, then the fricatives and the
right,
difficult sounds. Like first will be the per burma sound which will come, then the k g, then the ch ch j, like that.
right,
So when a child who is around 4 years of age is not able to say k g per burma sounds properly, and still parents are waiting that धीरे धीरे clear हो जाएगा,
correct, correct.
then that is something which is inappropriate. Okay, also the
Hmm.
reverse thing happens. Children as young as 3 years of age are referred to us because the child is not able to pronounce R, the R
Right,
sound. Now, in this
correct,
case, the R sound develops really late, by 5 years of age. Children get
correct,
completely clear in their R sound. So,
correct,
intervening so early doesn't make sense. So, that is a mistake which happens from the professionals' part, where we are not aware of the development of sounds, and then we make a error in referring the child, or maybe missing the child and not referring them. When it comes to language, there are children who are 3.5 years of age who are just speaking in very short phrases like 2 word or 3 word phrases, and
correct,
parents consider it as normal, like his and hers dad or grandfather spoke so late, they spoke after 5 years of age, so even this child will speak after 5 years of age. That is the
correct,
assumption that they have, but then these
correct,
assumptions in turn cause a lot of loss of time for the child. See, the
correct.
first 5 years are really important when it comes to learning language. If those years
Right,
are lost, the later the therapy is started, the slower the progress becomes. It becomes
correct, correct.
difficult for
Very
a
true.
child to then cope up, and this
Correct,
in turn affects their involvement, like their social involvement, their socialization
correct.
or play with their friends becomes affected. So it becomes a vicious cycle. So I think
Right.
the earlier we start, the better.
Yeah, yeah, true. Okay, so the next question is, what is receptive and expressive language? Usually commonly seen disorders that can affect language development.
Okay, now when it comes to receptive language, reception means your ability to understand language. Now children start understanding language fairly soon, when they are really young, they are understanding the non-verbal cues of language, the angry voice of a mother, the happy voice of a caregiver. As they turn 9 to 10 months old, they start showing understanding of basic words like no or mama, papa, say bye bye. So this
Correct,
constitutes of how you understand the words of a language, how you understand the parts of a language. When it comes to expression, expression is the ability of a child to use those known words for communication. Suppose a child knows that this thing is called ball. The same thing the child has to request also, saying give me ball. So understanding this thing is called ball and give me ball is what constitutes the reception and expression respectively. Now, what are the common disorders that we see in which there is receptive and expressive language delay? So, the most common one right now is the autism spectrum disorders, where there
okay,
is a delay in both reception and expression. The second one is hearing impairment. In the case of hearing impairment, obviously, because the child is not able to hear the sounds appropriately, they will have a difficulty in expressive language. They will have a
Correct.
difficulty in expressing the language.
Correct.
And the third one would be the motor disorders or the global developmental delays like cerebral palsy, in which, because of a general delay, the child's and also associated problems like motor ability being impacted or cognition being impacted, they can be receptive and expressive delays both.
Correct. Correct. So this I can see few questions I'll read out for you. So the first question is very closely associated with oromotor, I believe. Okay. So one question by one parent is, I'm very scared of doing the oromotor exercises, especially with the ice cubes in this time. How do I do other oromotor exercises? So maybe an alternative for that. And the child has a dystonia at the jaws.
Okay, so basically, with the ice cubes, as in, I wouldn't advise like rubbing the ice cubes directly on the child's face, but you can dip the cloth in cold water, not very cold, as cold as the ice cubes, but little less colder, and warm water, and then do the exercises for the child. So dipping the
Okay.
brush, whether you're using a brush or whether you're using different textured cloths, anything can be dipped in the cold water and can be used for exercises.
Right. So the next question is, what are oromotor exercises and skills?
Now, what are oromotor exercises? Oromotor exercises are exercises that we use to stimulate the muscles and nerves of the oral peripheral areas so that the child has better awareness and better response to stimulation. Like when a child is hypotonic, they have less response to stimuli. So we need to stimulate their peripheral oral structures so that their responses become better. As in, if a child is drooling because of less awareness of sensation over here. So with
Right.
oral exercises, the sensation improves and the drooling and the control of saliva improves. Whereas when a child is having a hypersensitivity, so
Right.
in case of a hypersensitivity, our role by using orosensory stimulation will be to desensitize the oral peripheral structures, to desensitize the gag reflex so that the child will be able to eat and chew food normally.
Correct. 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 Okay. So the next question is, how do you rehabilitate a child with cleft palate?
Now, rehabilitating a child with a cleft palate is a multidisciplinary approach. We'll require, depends upon the degree of the cleft palate of the child, depends upon
Correct.
how early the child is operated. So, if the surgical part is taken care of, if the child is having no fistula, something which causes a
Hmm.
disruption in therapy, then
Right.
then therapy can be initiated as early as possible. So children with cleft lip and palate, they do show language delays, but there are more delays in articulation, in pronouncing the sounds. So our work would be in helping the child compensate for the structure which is impaired, the structure which is not as equal as normal, and to use that structure to efficiently articulate those sounds.
Correct. So the next question is, if the child is hypotonic and does not verbally, communicate saying mama or papa, but expresses via gestures, what can be done?
Now, if a child is having good reception and he is expressing via gestures, I would really suggest that we should start using an augmentative form of communication. Augmentative, and as in some form of communication which augments his gestures, which supports his use of gestures. So, like a picture board can be used for communication with the child so that he points to the boards and communicates. Because gestures, in turn, they will become limited. Not everybody will be able to understand the child's gestures. Whereas if you give a picture board to a child, they have a wide range of words which are available, and that will help improve the child's expressive vocabulary. Now, this vocabulary may need not be verbal. Okay, it can be non-verbal as well, because in hypotonia we do see that children take a lot of time to learn verbal speech. So it's better not to wait and start with the augmentative communication.
Okay. how to teach a child on spectrum to ask questions.
How to teach a child on spectrum to ask questions? Okay, very favorite question of mine, because I had to really search a lot when I was trying to teach a child to ask questions. Usually, when we were working initially, we were working with hearing impaired children. So, hearing impaired children, they do not have so much difficulty when it comes to learning the different parts of language. Once they start learning, they
Correct.
keep on learning, and it keeps on happening. But when it comes to children who are on the spectrum, you need to teach them each and every part of a language, how to answer questions, how to answer different type of questions, how to ask questions. Now, in this case, what I had done is I had taken 4 sheets of paper and I had drawn symbols for each question, like a symbol for a what question, a symbol for a where question with arrows, a symbol for a who question by drawing a person's face, and
Correct.
we were using flashcards. There were flashcards kept on the table, and we were taking
Correct.
turns in asking the question. So the child had to pick up the chit, see which question is it, and he had to model. He had to see me modeling the question to him. Like I would open the chit and I would ask, "What is this?" And the child would name it. This is a cat.
Correct.
Then the same way, the child had to ask me a question. So using visual stimuli, using a visual material was very helpful in for me in teaching a child to ask questions, and even the generalization was good with that.
Okay. Okay. That helps. Okay. So the next question is, we often, okay, sorry. So how early can we detect the delay, if any, and start interventions when it comes to speech and language related?
So we can detect delays as early as 1 to 1.5 years of age. We have had children as young as 1.5 year of age coming with a delay. Now you would say that a 1.5 year old child doesn't speak. So how do you understand if there is a delay or not? So the thing is, before learning to speak, children must learn some cognitive prerequisites which are important for speaking, such as joint attention, eye contact, imitation of actions, imitation of sounds, learning how to use objects, object permanence. Now, if these skills are not there in a 1.5 year old child, then we start intervention, because in the absence of these cognitive prerequisites, language is not going to develop. Okay, these are like the bases, these are like the roots. The roots need to develop before a child goes further. Also, in children who are on the spectrum, there is regression, and this regression happens around 1.4, 1.5 years of age, where the parents come for therapy. So regression is an important indicator that you need to start therapy for a particular child.
Correct. Correct. So just to add on to that, this my question, which came in my mind. So in certain cases, when we talk about CP, or we can detect if the child had any evident history, and we know there is going to be a motor delay. So in that case, we already anticipate the child would have, a speech or a language concern. And would you recommend interventions to be started even if the child is, below 1 year of age
I would recommend
in
guidance
such
therapy
cases?
to be started.
Okay.
Guidance therapy should be started in children who with cerebral palsy, in which we know there is going to be a delay, so that at least parents can work on the basic prerequisites like attention, imitation. They know, they are aware that these are the things which are going to cause a delay. So when parents are aware and they know that this is going to happen, they can work on the skills and help in better progress for the child, or better preparation when they start individual therapy. So
Okay.
guidance for
Okay.
the parents should be recommended.
Okay. So the next question is, does description of object and pictures help in language building?
Definitely, description of object and pictures is a kind of talking that you are doing with the child, wherein you are helping a child understand the various parts of an object, how those objects are related, and while doing so, you are forming sentences. You are forming different types of sentences. So, obviously, it will be helpful in improving the comprehension as well as the expressive language of the child.
Okay. The next question is, how to teach a child to make him on two phrase, as currently the child is in one word.
So see, if the child is in one word, you need to see what is the vocabulary of the child. What does the vocabulary consist of? If the vocabulary consists only of nouns, then the child won't be able to go on a phrase level, because you need to
Okay.
combine a noun with a verb. Suppose if the child knows ball, cat, eyes, fan, door, but the child doesn't know the words like open, put, take, give. So the child won't be able to combine those into phrases. So if a child is having only nouns in the vocabulary, build the child's vocabulary for verbs and then work on two word phrases.
Okay, okay. Does the facial expression help the child with speech delay?
Does facial expression?
Help a child with speech delay?
So basically, now what I'm trying to understand by this question is, does facial expression help a child understand emotions? So definitely, your facial expressions will help your child understand the emotions and the tone in which you are saying a particular sentence, or when you are talking to a child during a particular situation. So facial expressions are important when it comes to understanding emotion. And
Okay,
if you
okay.
are using the facial expressions to teach particular sounds, so definitely the child needs to learn the placement. The placement of the articulators is learned by watching how your mouth moves. So
Right,
that is important.
right. The next question is treatment for tongue dystonia.
Treatment for tongue dystonia. Now, I have seen tongue dystonia in various degrees of cerebral palsy. So, the degree of cerebral palsy will play a role over here, that how severe is the child's problem. For tongue dystonia to be treated, the child has to be able to sit in an upright position, so that
Correct, correct,
the gravity and all is under control.
correct,
And
correct.
oromotor exercises definitely to improve, to manage the tongue dystonia for the child.
Right, right. Okay, how to make a child understand how and why questions.
How and why questions. Now, how to make children understand questions. When we are working on these, we need to start using these questions more in our routine, rather than starting with something abstract like a worksheet wherein a child has to match the why and how question answers. Start with something that is more concrete. When a child is going to wash hands, you ask them, why are you washing your hands? And then when a child gives you a puzzle look, you give them the answer, that because
Correct.
hands are dirty. Why are we going to the doctor? Because we are sick. Why are we climbing the stairs? Because the lift is not working. So take
Right,
opportunities of your naturally occurring situations to teach a child how and why questions. For example,
right,
you give them a closed, tightly lit bottle and ask them a how question, how will you open it? So I need to turn it tightly, or I need to use a cloth over it and then try to open it. So more concrete examples from your
okay,
real life
yeah,
situations.
right, right, right. Okay, so the last question we'll just take up here and we'll move to my set of questions. Okay, so the
Okay.
question is, child on spectrum always tries to speak less, so how to motivate him to speak every time?
See, if a child is speaking less, you cannot motivate a child to speak every time, especially a child who is on the autism spectrum,
Correct,
because
correct,
that is their major issue, wherein the motivation to speak is impacted, is affected. So, here, if you take the child's interest into account, if you speak to the child about something that is of his interest, or suppose if you are with a child who is on the spectrum, he is looking at probably flowers, and you're talking
correct,
about a ball, like, play catch the ball with me, and the child is not going to show interest to you. Even a typically developing child will not show so much interest. So talk about the things in which the child is interested in order to get better response from the child. And we need to respect individuals, we need to respect people with autism as individuals, as having their own choices. You
absolutely.
cannot expect a person to speak every time.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that is something that we need to really learn.
yeah. Right, very true. So we'll just wait till we get more questions. Already I can see 4 questions have popped up, but let's move to the next one. So Visma, tell me something. We often have a lot of myths around that it is fine for the child to talk late and develop speech. And in our practice also several times we have come across, parents coming in and then we realize there was a delay. So what other myths you can highlight and how true is that?
Now, this is very true. This myth that you highlighted, that parents do come across and they come late, saying that, we waited that the child would speak. Now,
Correct.
the problem in waiting is, there can be a positive thing, that your child may outgrow and he may suddenly have a spurt in his speech and language skills, and he will start talking normally. But there can also be a negative thing where a child has
Correct.
still not caught up. And if you have waited for that longer time, then you have really lost that time you would have otherwise utilized to boost your child's speech and language skills. So it's better to take a guidance from a speech therapist. Now, going to a speech therapist doesn't mean that you have to start on sessions immediately. The therapist will see your parent-child interactions, and the therapist will guide you that what you can change, or there are some things which you are doing wrong, or there are some things which you do in a better way, so it will boost your child's speech and language skills, which will in turn help you reduce this gap. Okay, because
Correct.
if a
Correct.
3-year-old child comes whose speech or language is at a level of a 1-year-old child, then it takes a lot of time for us to cover that 2 years gap. And during that
Correct.
time, the child's academic starts to take more importance. So,
Absolutely.
it's a burden on a child. So, I would say it's
Yeah.
better that we start early. The second myth I think I came across very commonly is if you speak to a child in more than one language, the children will get confused. So speaking multiple languages to a child, so this is not true. If you speak multiple languages to a child, they are not going to get confused. They will learn both the languages. The rate at which they learn both the language is going to differ. Okay, their first language or primary language is going to be more dominant, and the other
Absolutely.
language they will learn side by side. Now we have all been multilingual learners. None of
Right.
us faced confusion or a delay. In fact, the languages that we picked up as children, we know them better compared to when we
Correct.
have to learn those languages now. Okay,
Correct.
and
Correct.
the third myth that I came across is children who do not talk will need oromotor exercises to help them talk. Now, this is not necessary in each and every case. Okay, not all children have oral sensitivities or a oral motor weakness.
Correct.
Okay, now if you consider there was this prominent research by Gregory Love. He says that the amount of strength required during eating, only 10% of that strength is required during speaking. So if a child is eating normally, eating and chewing everything properly, they will not have a motor weakness. And speech
Right.
is not about strength. Speech is more about coordination, how you coordinate your muscles. This is, fine motor coordination.
Correct. Correct.
So this is another myth that parents should understand, because when we start
Yeah.
therapy with the child, their first question is कोई exercises नहीं है जिससे मेरा बच्चा बात करने लगे. तो हर बच्चे को exercise की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है.
Yeah, very true, very true. And I think it will be wise enough for all the parents, if they ever feel that the child is having a baseline deviation, it's always good to get it screened rather than to wait, and then regret it, because it can really
Yeah.
impact the child's learning in a very, very long run. Okay, Bisma. So coming to the next question, what are the strategies to develop concepts of language?
Now, when it comes to strategies to develop the concepts of language, so there are a lot of strategies, but there are few basic things that I always tell parents to use. First is model. When a child is learning a new language, you really need to model the word. Model the word by accompanying it with an object, picture, or an action. Okay, suppose when you are learning a new language and I tell you something in a new language, suppose I tell you jol, give me jol. You don't know what is jol. So you'll be wondering what is it. But if I do
Right.
a gesture, give me jol. So now you understand,
We
okay,
can
she's asking for
associate, yeah.
water. Yeah,
Correct,
so
correct.
associating words with objects, pictures, or actions is very important strategy that parents should start using. The second thing is repetition. Repetition of words in your routine and in your repertoire is very important for a child to learn, especially children who
Correct.
are having delays. For a typically developing child, a child would learn with 10 repetitions. That's how their first words are mama or bye bye, because we keep repeating
Right,
those
right.
words. Say mama,
Correct,
say bye
correct.
bye, say mama, say bye bye. But when it comes to a child who is having a delay, you need to do the same repetitions at least 40 or 50 times so that the child learns. Okay,
Correct,
the
correct.
third thing, the third strategy is using more open-ended questions with children. Many a times parents tend to ask simple yes and no questions. Do you want your milk? Do you want to sleep? Should we go to the park? I would suggest parents should start asking more open-ended questions to the children so that it gives them opportunities to communicate. Many a times children know the words, but they are not given the opportunity to use it, and that is
Yeah,
where
correct.
it causes a delay. Okay,
Correct.
and the fourth thing that I would like to say is start reading to the child from an early age as much as possible, because reading will really improve your child's vocabulary, his sentence structure, his grammar a lot. Be it reading in your mother tongue. You need not read in English. You can read it in your mother tongue. Even if you know a story, you can tell the story to your child in your mother tongue. It's absolutely fine. But that is a time where a child's brain really absorbs the language very well.
Correct.
So these are, like, few important things that parents should take care of. And fourth is playing with the
Please.
child. Now
Very
play is considered very basic, कि हाँ ऐसे खेल तो रहे हैं या
correct.
खेलने से
Correct.
क्या होगा. But play is very important for a child to learn. Now a word that you are trying to teach by using a flashcard, or by showing or by just asking the child to repeat after you, where a child is not motivated or not interested in it, the child will not learn it. Whereas if you teach the
Absolutely.
same word in play, where a child is interested, where he is motivated to learn, he'll learn better and he'll
Hmm.
learn faster. So the learning is faster when it happens through play.
Very
So modeling, imitation, asking more open-ended questions, reading, and playing. These are the basic
correct.
things that
Correct.
I ask all parents to follow, irrespective of the type of disorder.
Right. 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 So we have 20 minutes, Visma, and we have lots of questions pending. So let's pick up
Okay.
the questions which are online, because those should not be missed out. So
Okay.
there is a sudden okay. So the question is, there is sudden nasal regurgitation in patients with CP. How do you deal with it with speech therapy?
Now, sudden regurgitation in patients with CP. First important thing is positioning of the child. What is the position
Right.
in which you are feeding the child is very important. If a child is in lying down position, that is really not recommended. The child should be in a
Correct.
proper sitting position. Even if they are not able to sit independently, they should be made to sit with support.
Correct.
Okay, the second thing is the child's oromotor control. How well is the child's tongue control for bolus formation? That is something that you need to see. How, when the child is swallowing, is the child able to control the flow of liquid? Is the child able to control the quantity of food that you're putting in your child's mouth? So the third thing will be quantity and texture of the food. What kind of textures is the child able to tolerate? So suppose there is more regurgitation on solid food, then you need to change the diet to a semi-solid form till the child is able to
Learn. Yeah.
gradually go
Correct.
and learn to the solid food. So positioning of the child, the tongue control of the oral structures, and third is the texture and the quantity of food that you put in your child's mouth.
Right.
So
Right.
managing all these will help in reducing the regurgitation.
Right. Okay. So the next
And
question.
one more thing I would like to add: if it still persists, then you need to evaluate the child even for GERD. If there is
Hmm.
any gastroesophageal reflux
Correct.
problem, then that can also cause regurgitation.
Right. Okay. So that was great. So the next question is, child if has issues with chewing certain textures like banana, muskmelon, etc. How to work on that?
So first, you need to rule out that the child is not having any hypersensitivity to these textures, because if a child who is on the spectrum, then they can have hypersensitivity to slimy textures which they may not like. And that has to be then these textures have to be given after desensitization of the oral peripheral structures. Now, if there
Correct.
is no sensitivity issues, then you need to see first how you started giving it to the child. If you started giving it in a mashed form, you need to slowly progress it to the normal form. Like in 2 spoons of mashed banana, you put 1 spoon of finely chopped banana, so that the
Correct.
texture is little bit different, not completely different, but at the same time the child is progressing to a better texture. So this is how
Right.
you need to change the ratios of the food to improve.
Right. Right. So the next question is, will shyness or low confidence of a child could also cause speech delay?
So, shyness or low confidence of a child may or may not cause a speech delay. See, if a child is not speaking in front of strangers, doesn't mean that he has speech delay, because the same child may
Correct.
be speaking very efficiently in a home environment. So it may or may not cause a speech
But it
delay.
can go the other
But
way
it
around,
can go the other way.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, speech delay can cause shyness.
Definitely. They can,
Definitely.
affect their peer-to-peer group interactions and so many things.
Definitely.
Right. So the next question is, do we use vibratory brush for seizure clients or epileptic clients?
For epileptic clients, we suggest not to use a vibratory brush, because you don't know what kind of stimulation can trigger a seizure in a child, and we cannot do it on a trial and an error basis that, let's just try and see whether it causes. So that is
Correct.
very risky. So we would suggest using a normal brush.
Okay. And the question is, when do boys usually start speaking clearly?
So, be it a boy or a girl, they will start speaking clearly. Like by 5 years of age, children have all their sounds very clear. So, between 4.5 to 5 years of age, all children will have acquired the sounds very clearly. Now, even in this, there is a continuum wherein children on the initial part of the continuum, like, will start speaking clearly at a younger age, compared to children who are at the other end of the continuum, will start speaking a little later, maybe by say 5.5 they are more clear. So
Correct.
each child is different, and we cannot split whether it's a boy or a girl.
Correct, correct.
The criteria remains the same for both.
Right. So is it good to talk in different languages if child is on spectrum? If he is already speaking in one language quite good and not fluently.
Okay, so if a child is on the spectrum and is already speaking one language, he has already picked up one language, you can start talking to a child in another language as well. Okay, you can keep it to a minimum of two languages, and that would not cause a problem. Like we have seen children who are on the spectrum who have learned first language as English very efficiently,
Right.
and slowly started learning their mother tongue
Right.
as well by listening to others in their environment.
Right. So the next question is, how do you identify if the child has chewing issues? Is there any age? At 1 to 1.5 years, he chews roti but spits muskmelon.
Okay, so how do we identify whether a child is having chewing issues? Now, children start chewing even before their teeth appear, because their jaws are very efficient to chew a soft roti or a soft banana or a chico even at 8 months of age. Okay, so if a child at 1.5 year of age is eating roti but is spitting muskmelon, it can be because the taste for muskmelon has not yet developed. Now, see, children take multiple repetitions to develop taste for a particular food. So, if this is happening, we cannot say that the child is having any chewing or feeding issue, but it's just that the taste needs to develop, and you need to give the same thing multiple times to the child.
Right. Kindly recommend oromotor exercises for seizure clients. I don't know if you want to take up this question.
Oromotor exercises for seizure client, I don't think so. I can just recommend oromotor
Absolutely.
exercises verbally. We need to demonstrate it. We need to see the
You need
child.
to see, you need to
See
see
the
the child.
child, yeah. And we need to see how the child is responding to it. What is the problem
Absolutely.
exactly?
Absolutely. An ASD child, if doesn't allow to perform tongue movements, then what can be done?
An ASD child, if doesn't allow to perform tongue movements. Now, why do you need to perform tongue movements would be my first question. If a child is having problems with articulation, then you can use a mirror, or you can use puppets and props to help the child imitate. Like if a child's favorite character is suppose Peppa Pig, you can imitate Peppa saying certain sounds, and the child also does it in the same way. So in a playway manner, it can be done rather than forcing the child to do it.
Okay. When is it a good time to introduce the second language, and at what age?
You can introduce the second language as early as possible. There is no, you
No,
don't need to
right.
wait. You don't need to wait. You can start it
Okay.
as early as possible.
Yeah. So the next important question, which we don't want to miss out, what methods can we implement to boost speech development?
What methods can we
Use
implement to
development of speech.
to boost
We
speech
covered
development?
language is related to speech. We covered
Sorry?
a question related to language before.
Related to language, yeah.
So this is related specifically for speech.
So the same applies to speech as well, because
Okay.
when a language develops, when a child is talking, he is practicing the speech sounds. Okay, when a child is not talking, they get less opportunity to practice the speech sounds. Whereas when
Correct.
a child is talking, or when a child is reading, or narrating a story to you, or summarizing an incident, they are practicing their speech sounds properly.
Properly.
So
Correct.
the same strategies which apply for language, the same strategies will apply for speech as well. But apart from that, talking to your child in a slow rate of speech, in not a very fast rate of speech. If you see, there are certain dialects or certain regions where people talk very fast. They have
Fast.
a very
Correct.
fast rate of speech, so that becomes difficult for a child to understand or process those
No.
sounds,
Yeah.
because children are still learning the language, they are still processing the sounds. If they are not able to process it properly, they may not be able to speak it properly. So using a slow rate of speech with a child, and talking at the level of a child. If a child is talking in phrases, you talk in simple sentences. If a child is talking in simple sentences, you use few complex sentences. But if you talk to a child at a phrase level in complex sentences, then the child is not going to understand what you're talking.
Correct.
So, keeping the language level of the child in mind while talking to the child will be important.
Correct. So does modeling become a habit, and how to fade it?
Does modeling become a habit? Modeling of words, you mean to say, or modeling of the way we
It's
speak?
not clarified. Yeah.
It's not clarified. So, modeling will not become a habit, or you don't need to fade modeling as such, because as children, start picking up language, they learn to use language more meaningfully,
Correct.
in meaningful context, and that is why the fading is not required, because eventually the child will learn it.
Right. 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 So the next question is very interesting one. So if the child has fairly normal development, should we still use strategies to enhance the speech and language skills, or allow natural way of learning in these children?
Now, if a child is having fairly normal development, we don't need to use any strategies to enhance the skills as such. We should follow the normal way of development, because when it happens to enhancing, parents get very over enthusiastic,
So relation
and
also
they might
happens.
try to teach something extra to a child. They can happen sometimes where parents really want their child to be very fluent and
Correct.
participate in all extracurricular activities like giving speech and all, which can in turn develop a certain kind of fear, can lead to fluency issues in a
Absolutely.
child. So it's better that you follow the natural way of development. And reading is something that I would always advise parents to do. Reading in your mother tongue, reading in the first language or second language is something that you should always do with your child, because that will really help improve their understanding of language as well as the way they express their language.
Correct. No, that is very true. Self-learning skills are always better than we trying to
Better
impose, especially at the younger age. It
at
can
a younger
complicate
age.
things.
True.
Right. So, how closely visual development is associated with speech and language development, and any strategies to enhance visual-auditory sense together?
Okay, now how closely the sense is related. Now, if you know of a prerequisite called object permanence, where children initially, if an object is out of sight, it is out of their mind. So, what happens in cases of visual impairment, since the sight
Hmm.
is affected? Okay, so this important cognitive prerequisite is delayed or
Correct.
sometimes does not develop age appropriately. Concepts like above, below, in, under, on, in which a child needs to visually see the things. Those
Spatial
are the
related. Yeah.
concepts,
Correct.
spatial related concepts.
Correct.
They
Correct.
don't develop adequately. So these are the things in which language can get affected. But again, because the auditory sense is good, because the auditory sense is not impacted, the child will still be able to learn a lot of language, except that the vocabulary of the child may not be as good as that of a typically developing child.
It
The
may be
vocabulary
limited. Yeah.
will may be limited, may get affected, because the child is not getting a visual exposure to the things in the environment or the surrounding. The visual exposure will be limited. Now,
Right.
strategies to boost the visual auditory sense that you said, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Now, over here, what I suggest to parents is using more auditory inputs for the child, like be it music-based activities or singing-based activities, or even using the tactile sense a lot. Like we use tactile communication boards for children who are having a delay in language and
Correct.
with visual impairment. So using the tactile and auditory sense, using the senses which are impacted, which are
Correct.
good to boost
We can
the
utilize
to
that. Yeah.
yeah, we can utilize that to compensate for the other sense.
Right. So we have seen this in visually challenged children also. Music has helped a lot, to boost their auditory system. And in fact, they have what you mentioned that they would come up with limited speech, so they are actually able to overcome. But that requires a lot of work in a right
Stimulation,
way, a lot of right multisensory stimulation. So the question
stimulation.
here is, are there any apps that claim to enable the, okay, so there are apps that claim to enable the child to speak. Should we introduce such apps?
Now, there are apps that claim to boost or to supplement a child's
Yes,
speech and language. I haven't come across apps which claim that, because you use a app, the child will start speaking. I
correct.
haven't come across such apps, but there are apps which aim to supplement or boost your child's speech and language skills. So we can use those apps. See, it's a kind of active learning which is happening when a child is using an app. So if you are
Correct.
actively involved in it along with the child, it's good for a child. But if it's something passive that the child is just playing it like a game, then it may not be of any use.
Very true. So today we got a good questions and actually good topic where we can actually differentiate the speech and language. There is always a
Yeah,
confusion here among
confusion.
parents with this also. And oromotor
True.
is so commonly used that it becomes like a gold standard for any problem. But that is
Exactly.
also so many of
Exactly.
those things also got clarified. Okay, so the next question is this: now, is visual schedule required for an ASD child, even if he is verbal?
See, visual schedules are used for children so that, children with autism, if you see, they are very rigid or very specific about how things should happen. If there is
Right,
something unpredictable, it can cause a meltdown in a child. So, in order to keep the predictability, or in order for the child to understand, after this there is this, after this there is this, so that they are
right,
able to, make sense. Even if there is a change, the change is there on the visual schedule. So, before that actual change happens, they are able to better prepare themselves for that change. So, in that case, a visual schedule is helpful even if a child is verbal, so that the predictability remains and the child is better prepared for a change in his or her environment, because sudden
right.
changes can invoke meltdowns in children with autism.
Correct, correct. Now, because of the constraint of time, we have to take one last question. Okay, so this the question by Samantha is, for a 3-year-old child with speech delay, he has good vocabulary, but still does not want to start conversation or take part actively in conversation and is more into self-talk. Can you share some strategies?
So, if a child who is 3 year old has a good vocabulary, right, but is
Yeah,
more into self talk and not taking part in
correct.
conversations,
Conversation.
so I think involving the child in more meaningful communications. Suppose when you are reading a book to a child and a child is just doing self talk, so gaining the attention, gauging the attention of a child to one particular topic will be important. As well as if a
Correct.
child is doing more self talk, suppose the child is talking about wires that he sees around, so you engage, you start joining in your child's conversation. If you want him to join in your conversations, first you start joining in his
Correct.
conversations,
Correct.
take part in his conversation, so that and from there the meaningful communication happens. From there
Correct.
you can really take it meaningfully forward. So this is one important thing that parents should start doing. And self talk is a way of a child to practice his or her own speech or language skills. So as a child learns more meaningful communication and learns to interact more meaningfully, the self talk will reduce.
Okay, fantastic. So that is one common mistake, we many therapists and even parents do. they expect the child to come up to their level and communicate, but it
Yes,
has to always
exactly.
go the other way around.
Other
So
way
Bisma,
around.
absolutely. So one last question. This is an open question. What is the last message you want to give before we conclude the session? Any
So
general
the
guideline
last
or anything?
message,
Yeah.
yeah, the last message that I would really like to give to parents or therapists who are attending over here is start talking to your child. Start talking to your child about your daily routines as early as possible. See, for language to develop or for language speech to develop, you need not do a one-to-one activity with the child. You don't need to. You don't need any fancy materials or fancy
Correct.
toys. You just need to involve them in your daily routine. Suppose
Correct.
a mother is, cooking something, and she involves the child in that activity. So give five vegetables to the child. Ask the child to wash the vegetables in a bowl, dry them with a towel, and give it to you. And as you are peeling the vegetables, you tell the child, you explain to the child, wherein we call it as self-talk. You talk about what you are doing. You talk about what you are doing, what you see, what you touch, what you feel. Use your senses and explain it to your child. So, speech and language learning doesn't happen in a one to one situation, it happens all
Correct.
throughout.
Correct.
Languages everywhere around you. So, use those opportunities to help your children learn. And the second thing will be that start reading to your children as early as possible.
Yeah, I can
Because
see this point is being put up again and
we have
again. Yeah.
really seen a lot of improvement in children who have been read to in their vocabulary. Like I have, tracked these children over a period of 5 years. Children who are read to and children who are not read to. So
Correct.
children who have been read to, they really have a very strong vocabulary and a very good command over their language. So it really helps in making the child a more confident communicator.
Correct, correct. That is very true. So I do believe in younger kids, especially 0 to 3 years, the receptive areas of the brain are so active that the child is able to seek whatever is being, there in the environment. So no wonder all these reading skills, what you mentioned, this would really help the child to absorb. And once the expressive areas develop, they are like way ahead than their peer group when it comes
True.
to communication and vocab.
True.
So that was good, Bisma. Very insightful and very nicely explained all the points. And we could take up all the questions online as well as whatever I
Oh,
had.
great.
So thanks a lot for your session and your experience. I hope this helps all the therapists and parents across. And if you guys have any questions related to speech, language, or anything related to, your child, you can definitely get in touch with Bisma. And
Definitely.
her page is a must follow. I would say there are a lot of strategies and a lot of useful resources she shares in context to speech and language delay along with play and other areas. So thank you, Bisma, for being here for today's live session.
Thank you so much for having me here, Harish. It was
My
like a
pleasure.
great session for me.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys. Stay safe, stay good, and hopefully we are out of this situation slowly and steadily. Do pray, and hopefully the world will heal over a period of time. Bye, Bisma. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a
Bye,
nice evening
Harish.
to you.
Bye.